Yo, what's up, guys? Welcome back. We've got Wildcard bitches facing off against GMYE. Looking forward to the series. I'm joined by Yowza, casting the
Howdy.
series with us tonight.
What up?
We're I'm hyped for the series. Both teams are ready. Had to get something sorted in the background real quick, but both teams are now ready to go. So we're gonna queue it up. Looking forward to see what both teams bring to the table.
Yeah, I'm very excited as well. See if any teams are running some new compositions or whatnot.
Now, one thing that we were talking about in the pregame show a little bit is we were saying how Gino swapped to that Bia Monk the last series they played, but currently he's on his Warrior, so they're still going through a ton of swaps, and I'm sure that, as we previewed as well too, I'm sure Wildcard's going to go through quite a lot of swaps as well right now. I think they have Blackout on a Rogue. Okay, GMYE needs just a second before we get into the games. If they
Yeah, sorry.
No, you go, you go.
I really hope GYME gets stabilized on what classes they're maining and whatnot. If they're swapping it around, they can't really get comfortable with each other.
Yeah, it seems like they don't have a rhythm. I think that's like the perfect word, you know? Like they keep
Yeah, exactly.
it's hard. I think especially for like a newer team with a lot of newer players in the pre-mating scene, it's hard like to find that rhythm. It's hard to have you got to get that leadership, you got to get that congruency, and they've just haven't had a whole lot of success, so they're it's tough. They're pulling from all ends of the basket right here, so I think that if they one thing that I was talking about in the pregame shows, I would love to see them settle into a comp. Just be like, this is something that we want to run. We like these players on this comp. Like, let's just run it for like a week or two and see what we can do and get some of that, a rhythm, some congruency going. I don't know how you
Yeah.
feel.
Well, I mean, throughout the NWL, I believe a few teams have been having that issue. I know Waka Flocka Seagulls, Mutando has been jumping around from. I think he originated on a DPS and then swapped over to Wrestle Shaman. I can't quite recall, but the last series it was just hectic, just watching everyone bounce from class to class, game to game.
Yeah, yeah, you're absolutely right, and I think Wildcard is another team like, or excuse me, Waka Flocka is another team like you said, like right on the head. Like they've been looking for their identity too, and I think that the only thing that's a little bit different about Waka's identity is Waka's been around since before the second Twin Cup. Like these guys have been around forever, so it's a little bit more shocking to me to see those guys out of swing because I feel like going into this year's Twin Cup or this past year's Twin Cup, I should say, they really had like a good rhythm. Like I wouldn't necessarily say they had all the best players, but they had really good synergy. And maybe that's what's lacking for them is just those games under their belts.
But even with Waka Flocka, I'm pretty sure they established their team and everything beforehand. Where Gino's guild is more of just like, I correct me if I'm wrong, more of a last minute thing where a bunch of a bunch of players were thrown into a team, and then just said, "Let's go."
No, oh, I absolutely think you're right. And I don't even think that they know as a team what they're going to run necessarily until the day of. So, I just think that they're going to have to settle down a little bit, figure out, hey, we want this to be our identity. Let's run, 4 heals. Let's run 3 heals. You got to kind of pick. They're hopping around the bush a lot, and it's hard to get a read. Like you go from like 3 heals standard comp to like 4 heals with a destruction warlock. It's just like that is literally the full spectrum right there. Like it's crazy. So it's like their team doesn't have an identity.
Yeah, agreed overall. But I'm looking forward to watching them just grow as a team, and I get to be right alongside as many, just like everyone else here in the stream. We're gonna watch and grow with them and see how if they thrive or if they fall.
I think that's one of the exciting things about the series is kind of seeing like the development of teams and seeing how teams make changes going through the series, seeing which teams have success, which teams don't, and just there's variety where some teams have success, other teams are not having success, and it makes things fresh. It keeps things unique, I guess, and it kind of creates what you can expect out of a team. So for the thing that's a little bit out of characteristic that threw me off earlier, which I brought up, was saying how Waka's searching for an identity because like for so long you knew those guys as they had their Gankrix or Mice defense, and that carried them so hard in standard comp before the Twin Cup. And I feel like that's how, and for every team it's different. Like, every team's going to have their strengths, and sometimes it's the individual players and the synergy between a few guys that really make up where your strengths are. So for a team like Waka having such a strong like Hunter Rogue synergy on D, like I would love to see those guys go back to that, but it just seems like they're trying to get on board the 4 healer meta. Now, I guess for the teams playing tonight, I think that their strength, once again, is kind of playing objectively, because I love Randy Leahy on FC. He's just such a goof, and you never know, like, you can't keep track of him. And, like, goof isn't even the best word. It's just, he's unpredictable. Very unpredictable. And they should play to their objective strength, I feel like, sometimes.
Yeah, definitely. Exactly what you said, objective strength. I feel as though instead of having players, and this implies to any team, instead of having players jump from class to class, you should figure out what their strong points are first, whether they're good objectively, if they're midfield oriented, if they're an amazing FC, you know what I mean, and then swap them on their respective roles and classes at that point.
And I think that's the right approach right now, because it's so 19's this expansion has been a lot less about mechanics and more about, do you have the right person? And literally the right person, like their character, how they act, how they behave, like what's their playstyle on the right class. And I think that you hit the head on the nail there. Like that is, whoops, nail on the head. But you really nailed that one, because it's, I think that's the core of what everything's about. Do you have the right person on the right class? And especially when you're starting a team fresh and you can build from scratch, you have a lot of options if you have that mindset. Just putting people on in a role, not even necessarily a specific class, but in a role where they're going to have success. So if there's someone that's vocal, likes talking a lot, put them in a midfield slot. If there's someone that's a little bit more passive, a little bit more mechanical player, maybe a healer slot's good for them. Things like that, you can make subtle changes. I don't know if you had anything else in particular, but I think that's a great point.
No, I agree with everything what you said. Although I feel as though mechanics has to do with basically every role. But
Yeah.
as far as the meta being a midfield oriented meta, it comes down to maximizing your rotations as far as like uptime and whatnot, to deal damage to gain your snowball effect. They should be having people on the classes and their respective roles of what they like to do. For example, if Gino is one of the more, if he's a target caller on Give Me Your Energy, more than likely you should have him playing like Brute Master rather than Warrior. So he can speak up, call more single target pressures, more swaps, get the job done.
And we'll see what they end up running tonight. I actually just got word that both teams are just about ready to go, so sending the queue through. And I'm getting word already that Gino himself is telling me that they're running some goofy comp, so we'll have to keep our eyes peeled.
Yeah, this is going to be great.
Loading into the game here, getting the UI all set up, ready to go.
Check Skype for a sec.
Okay. Oh, if you hit, yeah.
There's no button in the middle.
Okay, try that. Okay, let's have a look at both comps
Okay,
here.
perfect.
Okay,
Works.
awesome. Swapping the team names around here. So, both teams loading into this BG right now. GMYE said they're running some crazy comps, so let's take a look at it here. We've got It looks like we got double priest coming out here. Um, oh my goodness, are they two? No, they're three healing, and then they're running a warlock. I can't tell what spec that is. It looks like they're going for some sort of a mid-cleave team here, with double boomkin as well too. Really interesting. So they're three healing with the warlock. Maybe is that they're bringing in the affliction warlock. I can't tell. Let's have a look here. See what it is. Oh, a destruction warlock. Really? Holy cow. What do you think about that? I would think if they're running double boomkin, the running with the UA lock is priceless.
Looking at their composition right now for GYME, it does look like their mid has a heavy rod and dot comp, but the Destro lock could be versatile with the rogue as far as huge swaps and just globing them in the moment.
We'll see if they can sync up that rogue and warlock damage in mid here as both teams are coming out. Wildcard running the four healers, Hunter Rogue in midfield with the Resto Druid, so they will be playing a little bit more objective. So they will have an early pick here if they choose to do it. And it looks like Muskie on the side here is going for that early pick. So both teams engaging in this early mid fight. Grim going in, taking a ton of damage on the front line, and Star Surge is going into him, but he has no fear at all, and he's going straight at that Warlock, trying to make him bounce back, but Minha on the side with Berserkers putting out a ton of damage into the team. MVP IRL does go down for Wildcard, so they are down their Boomkin early here, but they still have this momentum right now, and a Chaos Bolt going into the front line of Wildcard, and Grim taking the heat of it, but they're on this Warlock now. They're training him. He's being pulled back into his team. Just barely alive right now, and it seems like even though they had their Boomkin down who just got res back in mid, they are still behind, and still GMYE is having a hard time getting a grip here.
Yeah, for sure. GYME's Rogue has opened on beat this. He's taking a lot of pressure in the back here. Muskie currently has a flag leaving from the graveyard side. He's coming up behind GYME. Looks like he's going to cross.
He's getting across pretty safely here, and his whole team's pushing up in mid. You know, the crazy thing is for how much of a... Oh, it looks like their Boomkin is maybe DC'd in Tunnel. GMY's Boomkin, Grazius, looks like he's DC'd in Tunnel. I'm like, how on earth are they... They killed the Boomkin. I'm like, oh my gosh, what a great kill, and they're not pushing in mid. So Grazi, DC'd in Tunnel, are not standing, not moving, is having a really hard time here, and they're down 9v10 at this point. GMYE just trying to hold off right now. Getting some damage into the front line. A huge Blood Elf silence on the front line, but Song ends up going down, so maybe GMYE can find some momentum here. Song going for the body res right now. They have not snagged his body yet. Looking to get some sort of pressure here for GMYE. They still haven't got his body, and he's running the whole 9 yards. So much damage being swapped over into Slick My Love. He's able to get back on that, guys. Going back into the team. Regera trying to get some pressure out here. Their Boomkin is just now coming back to this team fight, so maybe they can get some pressure here in the map.
This is great. Both teams are going toe-to-toe right now. The Rogues are both doing their part as far as the midfield clash goes. Not really roaming around objectively. Blackout's in the back. He looked like he almost sapped the Panics, to be honest. He opened up on the healers. Song being charged to right now. He's connecting to their back line. Corsac goes down.
And it looks like full dominance so far by Wildcard. Even when their front line has gone down, and now that they do have their Boomkin back, they're just... You would think that they would have a little bit more pressure because they have snuck a few kills here. And maybe it's that rogue Warlock they're syncing up here, but Wildcard has been running flags the whole time. Muskie Bad going for the cap here. This is an odd comp again coming out from GMYE. They're trying some different stuff, but... I don't know. I'm just not feeling it yet.
Yeah, this is a little unusual, especially having a Warlock and a Rogue on the same team. It's a little goofy to look at. It does look like Wildcards are slowly pushing GYME towards the GY. They haven't had them fully contained yet. Muskie Bad looks like he's getting away. He's sneaking in stealth right now.
So it looks like they're just trying to end this game as quickly as possible. And you know what? That's interesting is back to what we were saying in the pregame, is Wildcard actually came out with a pretty standard-looking comp, I would say, where I kind of thought that they were going to go a little bit more on the creative side. They came out with 4 heals, They ran a Rogue and they ran a Resto Druid FC. That's pretty standard. I mean, that's a midfield oriented objective comp bringing the Rogue. I'm I'm, I'm surprised they actually didn't bring something a little bit more funky to the table.
Yeah, this is great right now. Blackout is actually being an FC himself. This is pretty interesting. It looks like he's just hiking it down the tunnel to Muskie really quick. Yeah, they're trying to end the game as fast as possible, but they're trading a few kills in the process right now.
They do get that handoff, and Blackout just trying to maximize the time, get this game over with. I would, and it's so weird right now, but they have gotten the flag pick, but they have it with Gino on the Horde ramp right now with the Hunter and the Boomkin, and if they're gonna run into this is just like, oh my goodness, they have to go back. Well, Gino is going all in. They have Saps on the FC though as well too, so they are kind of lurking over here. Trying to sneak Gino across right now. Ubek's fronting some damage here from the Hunter, and they are opening on the FC, but the Rogue's not really in position to connect damage, so Korzak going back up the ramp, being kited up. He really has no heals in the area. They go, get the return. Blackout is there. Muskie Bad running up tunnel, and he's going to be completely fine. For a second there, I thought that they were going to be okay on ramp, but then they just, like, they legged it.
No, it looked like quite the tussle over there. It's minutes prior before that went down, Grizzle was actually running into his stump. It looked like he was all tabbed or possibly DC, but
Oh my goodness.
maybe
What
just
an
not taking the game seriously.
what an odd game. Very odd game. From the beginning of that midfield team fight, I'm like, well, they killed their Boomkin, but how come they haven't won mid? And then I'm like, oh my goodness, their other Boomkin is DC'd in tunnel, and they just lost a lot of momentum there. So kind of actually a little bit of an unfortunate start there for GMYE, because I think like in a team comp like that, it's so important to have a good opening mid fight, and to have your Boomkin just not be there. That's rough for the opening team fight.
Yeah, looking at the charts right now too. In particular, I noticed Osaka, not necessarily. GYME isn't really pressuring them that much. He took on the role of being offensive, more or less, and he almost outdamaged the rest of his teammates, the Boomkin Warrior, whatnot. But
You like seeing that? I like seeing that offensive disc priest too. It's one of the classes right now where I feel like you can really be like numbers wise in your midfield. You can really maximize pressure for your team if you're on the ball.
yeah, for sure, it's all about knowing when to go offensive and defensive, rotating, just experience overall. That role requires the most experience as far as playing the game for how long, and just getting the feel for like momentum shifting back and forth.
It looks like one of the teams right now is just sorting through some things. I think it's GMYE taking a few minutes to sort through some things. Maybe they're changing comps. They're figuring something else out. I mean, that was kind of an. I mean, that was an oddball game. They ran a weird comp. They ran the Boomkin DCs in the opening team fight. Doesn't come back till they're down a cap. So I wonder if they're going to change up comp. Maybe they're going to go for it again. I would just like to see them, even if it's a weird comp, I'd like to see them almost run it again. They need consistency. They just need practice with whatever they're going to do. But both team leaders are telling me right now, well, GMIE looks like they're going to be switching up their comp again. So as soon as I say that, they're trying to find something else to work. But that was really, really goofy comp. Like 3 heals, rogue, and a warlock. I would not expect that coming from a comp, but you know, I think that's the one thing too that makes this meta interesting right now is I feel like there are almost some little areas in the game where you can pick class compositions to maximize where you want to win in mid, and there's definitely some leeway, but that's a lot of leeway, I guess. Like I could see like, oh, maybe we tag on the warlock, oh, maybe we tag on the rogue, but having both of those, like, seems like you'd need to have a pretty set plan in mind. It didn't seem to be executed.
I feel like maybe they're trying to make up for what they're lacking. For example, maybe they don't have the strongest midfield players. Maybe they don't have the players that are going to be at the top end of the charts. So they put emphasis on other classes like Destrolock, Rogue, to perhaps like change the momentum of the game, do huge swaps, get the kills when needed, and hopefully run over to the EFC and have a little showdown and get cheesy caps like that.
And I thought that, like, in that last game right there when they were on ramp, I thought we were going to see some of that. Like, I was like, oh, okay, I like, they got their warrior around, they got their boomkin around, they got their hunter there. Like, I like that. But then, like, the warrior's the last person I would give the flag to, and they just, like, dive bombed. So I was like, oh no, like, why are we doing that? That's so silly. It's so dumb. You just run right, like, what, they had, like, a boomkin, a hunter over there, Muskie was there as well, too. I don't know. It's just not like you can't just like take that fight. Well, you can, but I mean that's what happens.
Yeah, I mean another thing too. I can only imagine what's going on in the call. They're probably like, "Hey, give the flag to Gino. He's Goblin. Maybe he can just leap across the field like with the flag."
He's so small they won't see him. He'll hide in the bushes and run through the map, sneak away. Resent the queue here, so we're waiting for both teams. Okay, so they're waiting for one person to log over to a tune. So GMYE is making a swap. Making a swap here. We'll get this game going in just a second. Just having a word here with the team leaders. We're about to go into the second game. So just when we thought maybe we see some sort of consistency coming from GMYE, hopefully whatever comp they're gonna pick now, they can run for the rest of the night. And I would not be surprised if Wildcard changes their comp, but maybe they just want to have a clean series, get a little bit of reps under their belt here. If you were Wildcard right now, Yowza, would you want to have a clean series, or would you want to get some reps under your belt? Or would you want to try out some different comps? What would be your mindset?
I mean, they're just looking to have fun. I think after they take another win, they're gonna start swapping things up. They're gonna start getting goofy with it. I know I'd ask my team to play Shadow Priest personally, or jump on something non-meta.
And I think it just like makes things a little bit more exciting in those kind of games. I mean, at the point where you have your rogue picking up the flag and running it down tunnel to maximize time, like, I mean, you can run some goofy comps and have some fun with it. Cause I'm sure that rogue was just sitting there like, well, I'm gonna go pick up the flag and speed this up down tunnel. Like, oh my gosh, I'm sure that's like a boatload of fun. Like, probably play something else. Gonna send the queue through here, see if both teams are ready. Okay, we did get the queue go through, so loading into the game now. And let's see what GMYE did swap to, because they are swapping comps once again. Let's have a look here. So it looks like right now they're coming in with a Resto Druid. I like that. They're bringing in the Resto Druid FC. That's the first change I really like from GMYE. Bringing in that Resto Druid FC, taking out a Boomkin. They've got the Hunter Rogue available. They're 3 healing with 2 Priests and a Resto Shaman. So they're pretty much running standard comp, except they're subbing in the Warlock for a Hunter. It looks like.
Yeah, and GYME no longer running that double Boomkin, running a Russell Druid, perhaps FC. Well, more than likely, actually.
I like that. Like, matching it up with the Rogue and Hunter, I think, that'll be nice. Because if let's say they're losing mid, right? Well, their Resto Druid and their Rogue can go together to get pick, and maybe their Hunter can sneak around, and maybe their Boomkin, if worse comes to worse, can get out of midfield too. To give them a little versatility, at least getting the pick and being able to play objectives. For Wildcard, I didn't catch this the first game, and I'm not sure if it was this the first game, but the second game, Agent Grizzle is running as marksman as well too, so they have some extra burst in midfield. But other than that, it looks like they're pretty much bringing out the same composition. 4 healing in mid, bringing that Boomkin Resto Druid and Blackout on Rogue. So it looks like Wildcard is just looking to get a little bit of repetition on their belt, looking to have a clean series. I was actually really expecting them to maybe bring out some more flavor to the comps. Oh, maybe they do have. Is Yorkie on Ellie?
Yeah, Yorkie's on Ellie.
Yes. I didn't catch that at first. I was looking at it. I'm like, goodness. I like that. I like them bringing out the Ellie Shaman. I was gonna say that's a little bit out of character for them not to do something a little bit out of the box.
Yeah, we could definitely foresee this coming, for sure.
Both teams coming out of tunnel here. You know, for GMYE, I would love to see them just send their rogue with their FC, secure the pick, and deal with whatever happens in midfield. I'm just not overly confident that they're going to be able to take midfield against these guys, especially when they're killing the front line very quickly but not able to land successive kills. But we are going into the heat of it, and Grim charging right in, has no fear, getting in the front line, getting in GMYE's face. The Warlock standing very far back, has pretty good positioning right now. Getting deep Rens, though. Grim got lusted by his teammate, getting huge Rens on the back line, and Wildcard is already going in here and asserting themselves. And a huge punt from Yorkie since Korzak, and everyone on his team flying. They're gonna find some picks here. Appendix taking so much damage, the Rogue does open in midfield, and he's dropping so low, trying to run back into the rest of his team. Muskie Bad with the flag right now. Not able to land any kills off of that, but a good punt nonetheless. Agent Grizzle is breaking off on defense here, and Blackout is lurking for their FC as well, too.
Yeah, both teams are definitely separated right now. I'm checking out Yorkie's set right now. He's running 3.2k HP. He has items such as Lucky Fishing Hat on, a bunch of stamina chance. He's definitely looking to take the brunt of damage, being the meat shield for his team.
I think that's a smart way to go as well, too, on Ellie. I mean, soak up as much damage as possible, try to live, but be there for the punts when they're needed, because I think that, you know, you're there for the purges and punts. Bloodmaster right now in the flag room taking a lot of damage from Blackout, and he's running him right into Grizzle. Popping CDs here. He has to go back, but the Worgen Spring comes out. He's trying to line the aim shot, and being base to base right here, the aim shot's going to be really hard for Grizzle to land, so he's trying to line these corners, but he is going to get finished here. He does go down.
Damn.
And one of the unfortunate things there is that they did decide to open up Appendix in midfield, and he ended up dying anyways in that midfield fight, and Wildcard has a lot of control over the field. They've got tunnel control. I would have loved to see them bring Appendix with the FC, because maybe they could have just killed that Rogue in flag room and not had that incident happen at all.
That the Rogue Hunter defense, they should be paying attention on the BG target, spamming that to see if the Rogue has made an attempt to come out at all to participate in the mid fight, and if so, if not, obviously he's floating objectively, and they should send someone off to help their FC beforehand, before the outcome of course of Wildcard capping right there. Perhaps they could have aided Bloodmaster get across.
Maybe a Hunter breaking off, or the Boomkin, someone going to meet off as well too. And Agent Grizzle was able to slip out of midfield pretty easily as well too, pretty much untouched. But they do find a kill on Grim, and Song getting down here, so they do have the front line down from Wildcard. So hopefully GMYE, full team here in midfield, can find some pressure, land some kills. Grim just rezzing right now, getting a body res though, it seems like, in midfield. So GMYE, just when they have an opportunity to really push up here, Grim taking a body res, and Song already on his way back. He's going to be body resing in a second too, and any time that there's a glimpse of light at the end of the tunnel, it's just getting shoved right in their face, and Song getting the body res. Front line back up again, but they do kill Grim. I wonder if they did get his body this time, it looks like.
This is great. Bloodmaster is making a down ramp with the flag. It looks like he's going to go freely, not being touched at all. As far as the mid-fight goes, GYME, it seems to be working out for them. They're doing a lot of cross kills right now. I feel like that Rogue Warlock is working out for them.
They are getting a lot more pressure in midfield this game, and it seems like you're absolutely right. Their Chaos Bolt Rogue opener in mid is a little bit more synced. As soon as they actually really just start taking some bodies, like, they're going to be having a clean sweep into mid. The only reason that they've been able to sustain is having 3 to 4 body reses at this point. But now they're really rolling in midfield. Muskie Bad with the flag going up the tunnel here, and Wildcard feeling a little bit of pressure in this series right now. Trading kills in midfield. But they do lose Korzak here. He goes down, and they're BM on the front line, so a lot of counter kills here for Wildcard. Look for them to maybe be able to sustain this team fight, having the Warrior, Priest, and BM Monk down.
Yeah, definitely. I noticed that the Hunter broke off to go and connect to Muskie Bad, and that being said, they had to send a few back. I noticed that their Shaman and the Warrior came back, and that they lost the momentum in mid-fight at that point, and GYME just completely took over and started crushing them and wiping them. But of course, they Wildcard managed to sustain and find a balance, and they're currently pushing them back to the GY.
And with Siren down on a cross res right here, they're really trying to look and capitalize on this 2 healer. And Dime taking a ton of damage right now, having to pop CDs, and the healing surge is not going to be enough. He doesn't even get it off. I heal Arena goes down, and Siren solo healing right now. They're trying to pass it up, but Gino falls. So they're waiting on a res right now to get this flag up into the GY, and they have to do it quick. Bloodmaster going over to the side right now. They're not even looking for it anymore. It looks like they're just going to get collapsed on, and the whole team of Wildcard coming in, displacing over to the side, and he's not gonna make it. And Song late gets the grab. Muskie Bad looking to go in for the cap here, but Disaster, the Hunter, is nearby, and it is 4 stacks, but the displacer's already off. I don't think he's gonna have enough damage and enough momentum here to really stop Muskie. A little bit too late.
Or really enough CC to just hold them back to grab the flag itself.
Right.
And even then, in a 1v1, I believe Muskie will just 5-point win. But they do have a Penix here in tunnel, putting pressure on Muskie. If he could have got there a little bit sooner, I believe they could have turned it around and prohibited them from getting the second cap.
It looks like they are going to be able to kill him, though, going up to Roof right now, so a good kill. Looks like they're going to go over and snag his body, too. That's a great play. So maybe their Hunter can pick this flag for the Resto Druid right now, speed this up, and the Resto Druid in tunnel right now. Now, even though GMYE is in their graveyard right now, it's a 1-0 game. They got 3 people in the Horde flag room with the flag. Blackout sapping Plebmaster in tunnel right here. See if Grizzle is breaking off. He's coming up ramp right now. Disastra is actually going out ramp. I'm surprised they're not going tunnel to meet their Resto Druid and support him. So the Rogue and the Hunter are going out ramp right now. Grizzle coming in with Zerker. And he feels very confident right now. A huge opener from Appendix, though. And they do instantly gimp. Grizzle with that Zerker taking that extra damage. So a great kill right there on Grizzlefoot. I'm just surprised they didn't go meet Plebmaster in tunnel. They knew he's coming.
Yeah, it appears that Disaster right now is actually heading off the FC to Plebmaster. They're going down ramp. They're going to a full escort safely here, it looks like. Unless they're actually just sitting at the top here, contemplating on what to do. Blackout and Agent Grizzle are closing in. Shark infested water.
And keep an eye out here too, because Muskie now has that pick, even though they were able to delay him by killing him on roof. The Blood Elf Silence going out on Plebmaster, trying to run away. Doesn't have to pop Displacer. He's just popping the Worgen Sprint now. He's able to get away. No Worgen Sprint even used. He's fine.
Hopefully we can get a couple of legendary 1v1s in the corner here. Rogue versus Rogue, Hunter versus Hunter. Of course they're not going to respect that and just...
yeah.
2 versus 2, but...
Right.
Fortunate.
Blackout does go down. Appendix is running from this Hunter right now, who gets sniped with the aim shot. And Blackout going for the body reses too. Does seem to get his body res off. Muskie Bad coming up the ramp. I would have liked to see Disastra and the Rogue work a little bit more together there, but they do snag the Hunter trade kill, so it's just Blackout and Muskie right now with this flag on ramp.
There's a few things I want to touch more about Wildcard's comp. Of course, they're running like the standard, what they always run, but I want to put more emphasis on Yorkie. Him running Ellie Shaman is actually so detrimental when they're fighting GYME. Think about it. The Ellie Shaman, of course, he's spacing their team. He's creating distance with the Thunder Punts. He's soaking up damage. But the key thing here is the Destro Lock. Him shearing the Chaos Bolts on the hard swaps, and especially if the Rogue is trying to go off the momentum and open with them, he completely ruins their opener. And actually, I think that itself is a wild card.
I think that's a great call, too. And it's, you know, with having that heavy stamina set that we were talking about, he can get up in the face, he can tank some of that damage, and feel like he has that leeway to get up there and actually contest those guys. Plebmaster on the roof now, getting opened on by the Hunter. He's just trying to buy some time for his team, but it's a 4v1 here. He's not going to be able to last long. Song coming up to roof. Muskie Bad coming up to roof, but he does juke him with the Displacer, and he goes second floor, but Grizzle's down there, so the Marksman Hunter is nearby. I don't know if he's going to be able to line this aim shot. He does get the first one off, and he's going to go down. But he gave it a good try. That's unfortunate. I mean, a 4v1 and he had him juked for a second there, so not a bad effort. Part of me almost likes. I think they did a better job that game. I think GMYE did a better job that game. I think they made it a little bit more competitive objectively. It was just like in times where they need to play in sync, I feel like they were a little bit shy and they don't have that experience. You know, just for instance, like Ubex gets sapped in tunnel and the Hunter Rogue are there. Well, why don't we just run down and make sure our FC's okay? Like, what if the Hunter comes up tunnel or something and they kill the FC? Like, that would be horrible. And I think even on those trades on ramp too, if the Rogue Hunter are just a little bit more in sync with their FC, maybe they can kill that Rogue blackout sooner and be able to all three of them live and maybe cross the field.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like GYME, they're slacking in terms of positioning. For example, Muskie Bag getting that one cap there. If the Rogue was just a little bit sooner, they would have prohibited him from capping and more or less returning the flag. And then as far as like the 2v2s goes, whatnot, just I feel like the team is out of sync. They aren't really going together, holding each other's hand. They're just doing things and hoping it works out. And Muskie's team, they're outnumbering them. For example, on the rooftop right there, Muskie, I believe, is Blackout and the Hunter gaining up on the EFC right there and getting the 3 cap for the win.
I think like what you said is correct. You have it seems like GMYE's team, everyone, especially their objective play, everyone's relying on their natural instinct, and it seems like there's a little bit of lack of communication. So if one person's natural instinct is to, you know, maybe kill the Hunter first, right in the opener or something like that, and the Rogues maybe looking to play objective, looking for a sap, well, maybe that Hunter gets picked, you know? Like, maybe the Rogue sneaks by and picks him because the Hunter Rogue are like, let's kill this Hunter. It seems like just some little things, little basic communication, just, hey, heads up, this guy's over here, or hey, we should take advantage of this. Maybe some of those things are little vocal communication that they could do better to clean up those areas. Sending the queue through to both teams right now, seeing how we are looking here. Now, like you said, I think that GMYE definitely had a little bit more traction in midfield that game. And I think it would have gone a lot better if they would have grabbed bodies, but they showed that they did have some traction in mid that game with their comp. I would stick with it again, just get a little bit more consistency, get a little bit more practice going with it.
Definitely, and I feel like they would have a lot more success if Wildcard was running a more standard comp rather than having an Ellie Shaman shutting down the Destro lock. I feel like that's a huge quote-unquote cock block.
Oh, absolutely, because it just, right when you want to get that burst, and Yorkie being a smart player, and he knows what's going on in the meta, he'll just get up there right in your face and hit you in the last, like, 0.2 second of that cast, and you're going to be sitting there like, oh my god, like, just biting your chop. I would be raging if I was the Warlock on GMYE, because Yorkie's going to let you have it. And I thought he had a really good punt in that opening team fight, too. They actually didn't end up getting any kills off of that immediately, but it just led to them having better team positioning in mid.
For sure. What kind of game do you think that felt like?
To me, I like the way that, you know, it was scattered for me, because at first, right, they went pretty heavy mid. They even brought their Rogue in mid, and their FC got killed in the flag room against Blackout and Grizzle. So to me, it started off as a full mid game, and then the next cap after that, they're like, yeah, let's do it again. Let's bring full 10 in mid. And they actually had some success. They landed some kills, but and I think that's where they had almost their most strength in that game. Like, that's where they looked like they were in most unison in between that first and second cap. But by the time they were coming around between the second and third cap, it was like they had already committed so many people to play objectives, and the objectives weren't clean. So, you know, that was a really odd game. I don't know how else to put that. That was a very scattered game. I think that their best look was when they had 9 people in midfield and they had the Resto Druid grabbing the flag. And I think that they should find a way to stick to that, but maybe understand at the same time that, you know, if we're playing against a Hunter Rogue, you know, there's a really good chance our FC is going to need some help to get out of the base. So being able to understand that and send help accordingly. And I think that they'll be in a little better spot. Gonna check in, sending Q again with both team leaders, see how we're looking here. Looks like GMYE just needs a second here. For, I guess going into this last game, I'd love to see Wildcard just, or excuse me, not Wildcard, GMYE stick with the same comp. I have a feeling, since they're telling me they need a second, that I hope they're talking things over. I hope they're just trying to be like, you know what? Kind of like we are now. Like, what did we like about that game? You know, I felt like they were strongest when they had at least 9 people in mid. But with that being said, they need to find a way to give Ubek some help as the rest of Druid FC to get out, because it's just so hard against a good Hunter Rogue to actually get away from that, especially when they're both sitting there with control on the flag room. It's different if, like, the Rogue Hunter open in midfield and you're able to get the pick and you have a little bit more control over where you're running around on the field to start that initiation off. But when the Hunter Rogue already beat you there and they're playing defense in the flag room, that's pretty tough to get away from as a Resto Druid.
Yeah, definitely. GYME's positioning, their communication, everything, they're getting outnumbered in every aspect, every corner, every rooftop. They're just getting slaughtered. And they need to change. They need a change.
Do you think the change is in composition, or do you think the change is in unison and just cohesiveness?
Well, I mean, the Destro lock into the Ellie Shaman didn't necessarily pan out for them, although they were getting some cross kills. Just, I believe it's just communication is key. Really, that's it.
I think, you know, like, I like the last, from the first game to the second game, that second game was a lot better to me. Like, they were competing in mid for a good portion of that. And, you know, just simple things like, hey, we killed that guy, grab his body. Or, hey, the Hunter's breaking off. Or, hey, the Rogue is not in midfield. These little things that just come with playing a lot and having experience and being around players that communicate that way, I think that that's just a learning experience for them. And I feel like if they grasp on to those little things and just keep working on it, they're going to keep grinding. I really like their look there in that between that first and second cap. I think you absolutely could change your comp if you wanted to do something to, you know, counter that. Because it is, I mean, what they're running is a little bit of an oddball comp, but they've got a little bit of a groove, so I almost would like to see them just iron it out.
I'm taking a peek at Blackout's set right now. It's kind of interesting. He has stamina on the bracers, stamina on the gloves, stats to chest, whatnot. I guess it's more versatile, so he can play mid when needed as well, when his team is falling behind, and not just die on the opener the moment he opens. I feel like his setup, his purpose is just, it's great. I love his setup right now.
I think that's a nice look to go on it as well too. And the thing is with Rogue as well, is I'm sure like a Blackout has a ton of sets on that Rogue too, because you know you get to stealth, you can change your sets all the time. So like the difference between his, like, probably like what you said there, like his midfield set, I think that's great. You want, like, if your Rogue's passing by in mid and there's nothing to be covered objectively, yeah, open kick a healer. And Blackout's a really aggressive player, very vocal player, so I'm sure, you know, getting him involved is extremely important for not only, you know, in terms of their midfield getting success, but just the synergy of the team. He's such a synergy guy. He gets, he's one of those guys that's on a team where he's so vocal and communicates so well that he makes other people around him more aware of what's going on and a better player. So he's one of those guys that elevates people. So him getting involved in midfield is huge for Wildcard. We're just waiting on one of the teams here. Get ready. Gonna check in with both team leaders. And to me, that's okay. I like that the teams are taking some time to talk it out, figure out, you know, I don't like this. What went well, what went wrong. And I think that's the right approach you have to have. When you're given time to actually figure out, you know, hey, you know, I didn't like the way that game went. To actually talk over things, I think is really smart. That's how you get better, is going back, watching the games, thinking about, you know, oh, we did this, we did that. But it also takes the certain kind of player, a certain kind of team mindset to be able to be like, maybe we didn't do that great. Let's go back and look at it. It translates over into sports as well too, where people go back and watch film after a series or something like that. Having that, I guess, wherewithal to be able to go back and take credibility. I like that they're taking this some time to talk through what's going on. So just like it sounds like GMY just needs about a minute or two.
I mean, that being said, going over their weak points and whatnot, they should also keep in mind that all the positive things that they're doing, also not to get their hopes down, whatever, because they are doing a great job in some aspects.
Oh, absolutely. And I think that seriously, I think that they would have been competing in midfield if they were taking bodies. As simple as that. As simple as that. Like they should be very happy with how they did that last game in terms of midfield. Just little things. Hey, let's take a body. Hey, their hunter's breaking off. And that's just going to come with experience and going back, having those moments or going back and realizing afterwards, okay, well, you know, we had some good looks and we had some things that we can clean up. But I think that's absolutely right. You gotta look at both ends of the spectrum. So it sounds like they're changing comps again. So they got a new setup they're going with for this game. Sounds like they're swapping someone over to Hunter. So I wonder if they're actually bringing out the double Hunter, or if they're going to go with maybe they're just swapping around who's playing what. You know, I wouldn't mind seeing double Hunter from them.
A little bit of this too. It looks like it could be a mind game, because if they're running Destro Lock, I'd be all for running an Ellie Shaman into that, just to completely counter. But if just swapping up the comps depending on what they're playing could be a key thing to winning too.
Maybe they feel that if they go, well, they're running the 4 healers right now, so maybe the 3 healers with the Ellie, excuse me. So maybe they feel that they can get a little bit more pressure going with something more objective. I think their best success so far has been midfield in that last game. I feel like that was when they were at their best, is in between that first and second cap. Maybe something like, you know what, maybe our Warlock was getting interrupted and bothered by that Hunter a lot. Or, excuse me, the Ellie Shaman a lot. Maybe Yorkie was giving me a hard time, but maybe they bring in a Marksman Hunter instead of the Warlock. Something that offers some burst with scope proc, can't be interrupted, and a little bit more mobile. Something like that could be an interesting change. Just talking to Gino right now, they're getting their last player set up ready to go. It definitely sounds like what we were talking about earlier. It seems like they're a little bit scattered and they're searching for an answer right now. GMY is searching for an answer. I think the important thing for them is as much as I think changing comps is important. I just don't feel like they need to have a core right now, and I feel like they're missing their core. So it's hard to build so many different comps when you're not confident in your core and what you stand for, what your team identity is. Do you agree there, or?
I do agree. None of them are really comfortable with what they're situated on. Like, they were running double Boomkin the first match, now they're running Boomkin Wrestle Druid. It's just they need to get it together and then just focus on their weak points from that point on.
I just got a little information. It sounds like maybe they have a mercenary coming in for this last one. Someone outside of the team. It looks like they were looking for a player for this last game, so that might have been a little bit of what the holdup has been about so far. Someone swapping in there. So, you know, that's the other thing with the league so far, with the NWL. It's been really interesting. There's a lot of mercenaries right now that actually have a lot of pre-min experience. Someone like Ko on a Hunter is like a great pickup for any team taking in on a Hunter. I mean, he's just someone that communicates, has been pre-mating for expansions on expansions. It's got a lot of practice on a hunter. I don't think he's necessarily playing in this series here, but there's definitely some players right now that are in the mercenary pool that could give your team an edge.
Do you know who they're subbing in by chance?
I don't know off the top of my head yet. We'll probably have to wait until the series comes in. They haven't revealed that. Doesn't look like Ko's around, so doesn't seem as if Ko would jump in on Hunter.
You know, if all hope is lost for GYME, I feel though they're gonna mess around. They're gonna have more fun. They're gonna stay with their respective roles, but just change up classes. Like Randy Leahy, still FC, but maybe he'll FC on a warrior. You know what I mean?
Yeah, right. Right. Just have a little fun, and maybe they'll just try to get a laugh out of this game and enjoy themselves. Run something a little bit goofy. I don't actually think that they've had Randy around tonight. I was hoping he would be FCing for them, because I think that's one of their strongest suits. I think he's their best player. So having him not available today is kind of a bummer, at least not in the lineup. Doesn't even seem to be on.
Yeah, Randy is definitely a character. That guy, every time I talk to him on Ventrilo or whatnot, he's telling me a story about him at the casino or how he won a new truck or just just an awesome person with an awesome history.
He's a funny guy. He's someone that lives life kind of on the edge, and he's a goof. Whether it's at the casino, having a ball, he's a gambling kind of guy. And I know that a lot of times, not only does he fish in game, but he actually takes fishing trips IRL to go ice fishing in the northern lands of Canada.
And whether you know this or not, he's actually First Nation.
What? Oh my! Really?
Yeah, of course.
Casino is a one of a kind. It's unfortunate he's not able to play tonight. See if we can get this queue up. Come on, teams, both be ready. We got to get ready and get this game 3 going. There we go. The queue is going through. So we'll load in here and figure out what the comps are looking like, what GMYE was looking for. It honestly sounded like, just from the information I got at the very end there, that they were just looking for someone to play. So I'm not sure if it was such a tactical move and more of just what had to be done move. So it looks like right now GMYE is running with... They did bring the double hunter in. They dropped the...
Druid.
Oh my goodness. Holy cannoli. Wowzers. Well, I do not know who's going to FC this flag for them. Goodness gracious. Well,
they're more than likely gonna have one of their hunters FC.
yeah.
I'm looking at their sets, and one of them appears to have nearly 3k HP. Disaster.
This is going to be, I think, very heavily decided on who wins this opening team fight. Because it looks like Grazi is going to play mid. He's running his Boomkin set, so I do not know either one of these hunters coming from GMYE, whereas if I look at someone on Wildcard and I look at Grizzle, someone, a veteran player in the bracket, plays a lot of pugs, has a lot of experience FCing on the class, you feel really confident in someone like him FCing. You've seen him done it, you've seen the experiences, he's a smart player. I don't know who either of the hunters are from GMYE right now. So my confidence level in either one of them FCing, from an outside perspective, is pretty low.
The unfortunate thing to be running an FC outside of Druid that isn't a Worgen, your racials are practically useless. Like, taking a peek at Grizzle here, he's torn. And that is a huge thing, especially if it were to get opened on by a rogue or whatnot. Of course, you could disengage or a concussive shot, whatever, for a gap closer. But, I mean, racials are key things, too. And being human, it doesn't help you out too much.
But there's no real benefit at 19, I guess. Well, marginal. It's not anything that's for the most part, the Horde racials in Battlegrounds are much better, I would say, than Alliance. except for maybe Worgen. Like Worgen on an FC is, well, they're all defensive. Is what I would say, if that makes sense. You have
Hmm.
Gnome, you can slip out of slows. Dwarf, you can get out of slows and silences. Bleeds, but it's all on the defensive end. So the aggressive horde ratios at 19 with a bursty bracket are huge.
The horde racials at the same time are defensive and aggressive. But here we go into the mid fight.
And Artie Leahy fronting the damage right now. Early getting a Crusader here, doing huge damage. And Yorkster trying to get healed here. Half health. And Wildcard is going ham at the start of this game. Getting a lot of early pressure. They're in the back line. Damage going on Siren. And charge silence on 2 healers from Artie Leahy, who's still getting Crusaders. The Rogue going down in midfield. Boomkin going down in midfield. This is pretty much what I expected seeing here in midfield. I just don't know who's going to FC. I don't know who's going to get the flag for GMYE. Their rank 3 is running up tunnel right now to maybe contest, make them have to run people on defense, and they're not running the rest of Druid FC this time, so they're going to have to respect that and send someone up to get this flag.
Yeah, Musky Druid appears to be while charging in, just cleaving them down with his thrash, but also he's getting huge cross kills with his 5 points. It just looks like they're throwing the majority of their numbers into mid right now just to get the containment started.
And right now, they're pretty much just trying to wipe up the mid. They might send someone up tunnel here pretty soon. Rank 3, still lurking on defense right now, and Agent Grizzle coming up. So it looks like they're going to try to have some sort of a 1v1 in the base to kill this Hunter right now. Grizzle taking his time in the tunnel, and Blackout does join up to meet him here, so he's going to push around. Doesn't know the rogue's here. It goes for the opener. Grizzle going in. Huge damage going off. Blackout trying to look for the re-stealth. It looks like he's going to be able to get it here. Does get the re-stealth, but he just goes down before that's even needed. Grizzle with the flag here. I mean, this is just bad news now for GMYE.
Once again, talking about being outnumbered there, another 2 versus 1 situation. Just always Wildcard on the offensive, has the upper hand, has the edge, has the players, just always 2 steps ahead of GYME.
And it even seems at this point that GMYE has a player leaving the game, so it seems like morales are just completely down. It looks like it was one of their 2 hunters. It looks like it was, I believe, a disaster, one of their 2 hunters. So I don't know if it was just a joke, if morales are down, but that's quite a shame here. I just don't know how they're going to get themselves out of a situation like this with no Druid FC and only one Druid in period. I feel like it's, I think that's maybe one thing. Is there's like a few classes where it's like so essential to have 2 of. Druid being like in the forefront. Like having 2 druids, doesn't matter what spec, I feel like is essential.
Another key thing to look at here, they actually had their Warlock change specs to Affliction. It's a little interesting, even though I don't think it was necessarily needed, because they're running only one Resto Shaman on Wildcard. So it's not that detrimental to putting a dent into their team comp.
And a lot of the pressure that I think GMYE has put out from the past 2 games has been because of that Destruction Lock burst damage. So just taking that out, I don't, especially since they're not running 2 druids either too, I don't see their midfield being like some cleavy team with double Boomkin. They're just really, it seems like GMRE right here is just looking to get this 3rd game in, but they are trying to go for some sort of a push right now. Huge punt from Yorkster, though, coming behind from GY, knocking everyone from GMYE off, and Sharks in the water, and the blood is out. Wildcard is just looking to eat these guys alive, and they force the fight, but they are holding off for right now. Yorkster barely hanging on right now on the front line. Thought they were going to be able to snag a few more kills off of that.
Yeah, even though they're down a player at the moment, they're somehow pressuring them and forcing them back. This is pretty interesting to see.
GMYE's Rogue getting swamped up right now, but Yorkster going down. Musky bad, coming off a GY res, the BM Monk going down as well too, and Grizzle with the flag right now, Bubble on the Hunter, so they're trying to get Agent Grizzle across right now, and he trinkets the slow, getting back into his team fight. They might even pass it to Musky, but it looks like he's going to hold on to it for now. The pass does go off. Musky gets the flag here. He's just going to run it in. Being that Guardian Druid with the swaps into forms, he's just going to run it up. He's travel forming up tunnel, and there's nothing they can do to stop him. This is a I don't know how you could win a game with this comp unless you were playing very out of the meta by running base to base. And I just, GMYE hasn't shown me that character that they are willing to do that or that they have the leadership to do that.
I don't know. This is so unnatural. They're all over the place. The first game when they were running double Boomkin instead of the Boomkin Russadrid, they had a Deshra lock win. That would have been a key time to have ran an Affliction lock because I'm fairly positive they're running Wildcard was running double Russa Shaman, and now all of a sudden that they have only one Boomkin, and they had him go Affliction and Wildcard is running one Russa Shaman right now. It's not even that crucial. Like they aren't countering them that much to say. It's just they're all over the place. It's
Very scattered, like you said. And in terms of where, like, in so many areas, in comp and leadership and in the actual game. I mean, it's a 9v10 right now, like, legitimately. So, goodness gracious, man. I hope we can just get this game over with. This is, seems painful for everyone involved right now, to say the least. I would say that's got to be disappointing from GMYE's standpoint too, to have like people leaving the game, like before the first cap even happens. But I don't know. What are you gonna do? Maybe it was a DC, maybe it was morale. I'm not actually sure, but they've definitely got thrown for a loop, and Wildcard just out here having some fun with the Yorkie punts and GY.
yeah, especially with how tight our community is. With someone leaving your team like that, obviously there's going to be some internal drama and beef amongst everyone afterwards. No one's going to let that go kindly, let it slip.
Oh, absolutely, and just like, especially in a pre-made setting, I mean, that's pretty low to be leaving a game. So hopefully it was just a disconnect. But honestly, from how the tide of that game went and when he left, it might say otherwise. But maybe I'm a skeptic here. So that was a pretty dominating series, to say the least, from Wildcard. It probably went more dominant than I expected it to go. And GMYE is still searching for their identity. They're trying to figure out what is their team composition, what is their leadership, how can they win objectives. And this sounds really sad, but I actually don't have faith. I don't have faith because they swap up so much. I feel like you have to have some sort of consistency to be able to build off of. And if that's the one thing that they learn from this is build from a core and keep that core, build around that. You know, have a core 7-8 guys, and then, you know, your last healer slot, your last DPS slot. Bring someone in who you think can give you an edge, or a different class that can give you a different look against certain comps or whatnot. But you gotta keep the core, and I couldn't even tell you who the core is. If, like, perfect example, if I had to tell you of the core of Wildcard, I could do that right now without looking. Muskie, Yorkie, EPH, Grizzle, Beat This, Arasaka, Scope, and that's 7-8 guys right there. That's the core of their team. Blackout as well too. So, you know, it's hard. It's hard to even say the core for GMYE right now. And that's, I hope they find their core, because that's what they need right now. I enjoyed casting the series. Yaz, I don't know if you have any final notes coming off of that.
I'm a little curious to see what kind of drama has been happening throughout the games and the calls. I would like to know, especially that last game, how GOIME is feeling.
I think you're absolutely right. Like, if we could sneak into the locker room of GMYE,
Yeah, of course.
get that TMZ video footage of Gino throwing barrels in in the flag room, their locker room. I don't know. Someone's going ham. So you're absolutely right. It's the drama is what makes things interesting, but at the same time, to be involved in that drama is definitely unfortunate, especially in a situation like that where you have a player leave in a pre-made. I mean, that is not the first time they've had that happen this NWL season, actually. So that's brutal, to say the least.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, guys. Well, thank you for joining us for the series tonight. Wildcard Bitches had a huge 3-0 domination over Gimme Your Energy. thanks to both teams coming out. I had a great time casting with you tonight, Yowza. We'll catch you guys the next time. We will have more games the rest of the weekend, so stay tuned. Keep an eye on xpoff.com to know when the rest of the series will take place this weekend. Have a great night, guys. Keep it easy.
Take care.